Yo, yo, yo. Another Last of Us 2 video, but this isn't necessarily about the plot. This kind of talks about some of the things that I've highlighted. If you remember, I did a video talking about the disconnect between critic media, professional journalists, gaming journalists, and so forth. Why there's such a disconnect between them and a lot of people that are playing the game, user reviews, and so forth. And I think a lot of people have been skeptical of some of the more like the big gaming journalists, publications, and so forth. Been very skeptical of some of their reviews in the past. But what we're about to see today and what I'm about to show you guys really points out that disconnect that I talk about a lot and why you more so shouldn't take their views seriously, or more so, no, let me take that back. With a grain of salt, let's say that. Maybe a lot of salt. There's a lot of politics that are involved when you become access media. I deal with this in the music industry. I'm not per se a game journalist or anything like that, but I'd imagine that the same or similar thing is going down, where you build friendships, you want to maintain friendships, you want to maintain access, and to act like that wouldn't dare influence, let's say, how you review it. I'm not just going to sit up here and be like they're paying people under the table for the promotion or anything like that. Maybe they are, but it's certainly going to influence how they present this game. Now, Last of Us 2, huge game as far as, this being the follow-up to a major weapon by way of Naughty Dog and Sony. So we move forward. We got the next game, Last of Us 2, gets all these people ranting and raving about how awesome it is. And then that's the people that are more so the critic media. And then you get the user reviews and it's like completely on the other side. There was, and I covered this briefly on this channel, because a lot of my colleagues had been falsely reported, all the DMCA strikes, people's YouTube's been threatened. We're going through this, and a really big shout out to Ryan for highlighting this from Arcade Outpost. Drunk 3PO also, I want to give him a big shout out, both with the Geeks and Gamers family. But they, kind of brought this to my attention, and this is Zachary Ryan. And let me be clear, I don't want you guys to go bombard this guy, talk shit to him. I'm not questioning maybe semi-questioning his integrity, but I'm not like attacking him or anything like that. And I don't want you guys to do that either. But he works for IGN, and he's completely clueless and admits that he's clueless. But there's an angle that he takes that I specifically have a problem with, and I think is almost irresponsible from a guy that participates in some sort of journalism. But I don't know what his capacity is, and maybe he doesn't facilitate that. But it does say that he's the director of editorial video for IGN. Okay? That's who Zachary Ryan is. He tweeted 4 days ago, the last thing I'll say about Last of Us 2, I think is pretty fucking interesting, that certain YouTuber dudes that have profited from slamming this game into the ground for months don't have the guts to report on sales after encouraging their fans to review, bomb, and talk shit later. Ryan says people like Zach are the reason people give less of a F about sites like IGN every day. Nearly everyone, including myself, has talked about those sales and the 80% drop it had last week. And no one I've seen has encouraged review bombing, all while you remain ignorant. And I don't know anybody that's encouraged review bombing as well. I certainly haven't. And I know I've had a few videos that have done a lot of numbers on this particular game. But that was more so after the release. I only did, I believe, 1 or 2 videos on this, and it was specifically about this screenshot. Now, what the screenshot is Ryan showing, says what DMCA claims. Ryan is showing how this guy that works at IGN is completely oblivious to the absolute abuse by way of Naughty Dog and company that went around flagging people that were talking about the leaks, flagging people that were, loosely talking about it, not even mentioning real details as far as like not showing any screenshots or anything like that, and getting DMCA claimed, getting their channels getting channel strikes, Twitter accounts removed because of this. They went full. And, when it comes to DMCA, some of that's on the end of the platform. A lot of it's in. They don't want to even get involved in all of that. They're like, oh, it's a DMCA claim. We'll just take it down because they don't want to be dealing with any of that. So it's a complete abuse of the system and how it exists. And people that weren't showing screenshots or anything like that, showing anything regarding any leaks, were still getting, because they didn't want any bad press in this regard. And they feel like their heart sank because of this thing leaked. This guy, Zach, 3 days ago, acted like he was completely oblivious to this DMCA, and this was a big deal. So he knows all of this about these YouTubers, right? All of these about these YouTubers talking about, that's been slamming this. He knows about all of that, but is completely oblivious to probably the same YouTubers that he's probably strawmanning, right? Because pretty much all of them had mentioned, and this is why Naughty Dog got a lot of crap, because because of that abuse. People will mention that. People will mention it. How do you not know about it? But he says he holds the L, and this is what makes it worse. Because I asked him, by the way, I said, did he delete this tweet? He said, yeah, I did. And this is what Drug 3PO showed me his response. This is what I say is irresponsible. This is my mistake, and I'll take the L here. I heard about those claims, but hadn't looked into it. He probably thinks this saves him. And he's like, all right, maybe I was BSing a little bit. I did hear about him. So he deleted his former tweet that said that. He like, what? Like acting as if he's totally confused. But he hadn't looked into it. This is why I say it's irresponsible, because everybody was talking about it. Certainly a lot of the YouTubers about these false claims. A lot of bigger YouTubers were talking about this. And you knew nothing about it. And not only that, more so, you did know about it. You admit it. But you didn't look into it. That's not journalism. Now, is that his job? I don't know. But for him to, what he's saying is he's putting on the blinders and he doesn't care. Yeah, I heard that they were abusing this system, taking people's channels down and stuff, getting them strikes, but I didn't want to look into it. What do you mean? Certainly had no problem looking into these supposed review bombings. Had no issue with that. This is why I think the response is worse than just being completely oblivious. He's knowing that it was at least mentioned, but he actually is going out of his way to remain oblivious. Now, why on earth would a guy that works with a company, a journalism, a publication, an IGN, you would think that'd be big time news that you would cover, that a person in your industry or a company in your industry has been stripping people of their ability to be on these platforms by these false. You think that'd be a huge deal to at least cover it? You heard it existed and chose to remain ignorant on it. Not even. So with that being said, guys, when someone chooses to be ignorant on a negative press, what would be negative press, and a negative thing about this particular game that they're ranting and raving about, why would you take them seriously? They're telling you where you're at. I don't want to know about the negative things. 10 out of 10 game. No flaws. Abby is the greatest creation ever. And Joel had it coming. This isn't anything that's unique at all to the gaming industry. But I wanted to highlight this because on a serious note, there's a lot of politics, obviously, in games. And if you think that people don't have positions, based on the friendships and stuff and the good graces that they're trying to remain in with a lot of these companies, you're sadly mistaken. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything as far as Zach's motivations. All I can do is speculate. But I just think it's very odd for someone who just specifically mentioned all of this stuff about these companies, right? And what it is that, or not companies, YouTubers and everything that it is that they're doing, he just chooses to remain completely oblivious to these false claims, DMCA claims, by way of Naughty Dog and Company, or the front company that they did it through. Didn't even bother, not even gonna, heard about it, not gonna look at it. That's what makes it worse, because you work with IGN, you fool.